You are watching TBI TV, brought to you by Minnesota Functional Neurology. I am Amy Zellmer, and today we're going to be talking about cognitive processing speed. So, when I first fell, I really didn't understand what was wrong with me. I knew right away I wasn't okay. The second I got up, I had excruciating pain. I had visual problems. I was seeing stars in my peripheral vision, and I just knew I wasn't okay. But I didn't really know the depth of how not okay I was. And so the next day after my injury, I went to the bank to use the ATM, and I took my card out and I stared at the ATM, and I knew that I needed to do something with my card, but I didn't know what I needed to do. And after a few minutes of kind of staring at it, I just gave up and went home. And then at home, I had an interesting experience where I went to heat something up in the microwave, and I just stared at the microwave, and I'm like, there's so many buttons. I don't know what button to push. And it took me a really long time to figure out how to use the microwave. And then my oven, I have like a digitalized oven, and that was way even more complicated for me. And what I've later understood is that it was my cognitive processing, like the processor was damaged when it landed on the asphalt. And so like my brain just couldn't quite process the information that it was seeing. And another example is I went to the gas station, and when you pay at the pump, it asks you like 101 questions sometimes. So it almost always asks you for your zip code and if you want a car wash, that kind of thing. But the one I was at was asking me a ton of questions, and then it was like, press enter to continue. And there wasn't a button that actually said enter. And in hindsight, I understand that there was a green button, and the green button was meant to be enter, but I couldn't make that connection. And that's what was going on with my oven. My oven, when I started to set the temperature, it says press start. And my oven doesn't actually have a start button. It has an enter button. And so like my brain couldn't, like it just couldn't understand. It was looking for a button that wasn't there. And that took I still, if I'm really, really tired, I still have trouble remembering how to use my oven and my microwave. And I know that that's like crazy for people without a brain injury to understand. And as a person with a brain injury, it's like super crazy. That gas station I was at that I couldn't figure out the buttons, I literally got back in my car and drove to a different gas station because I couldn't figure it out. I like started crying because I couldn't figure it out. So I got in my car and literally drove across the street to the other gas station, and that one made more sense to me. Anything with like a touch screen, I struggled with. My phone was never really a problem. I didn't have a lot of trouble with my phone, I think because I knew how to use that. But like at the doctor's office, they have this new check-in system where like you have to do this touch screen thing. And I was like, it was so confusing and overwhelming for me. And a really funny story is I went to the neurologist's office. This was about 2 or 3 months after I fell. And they have this really fancy coffee machine. It like, you pick what kind of coffee you want, and then it freshly grinds it, and then it brews it into this cup, and it adds the cream and sugar if you want it. And so there's like a big sticker that says, with an arrow that says, push this button first. But then that's all the further instruction that they really put on there. And so I pushed the button, and then I'm like, I don't understand what you do. And fortunately, there was some other person that was waiting to use it, and she helped me. She's like, oh, you push this, and then this, and then this. And I was just like, this is in the neurologist's office? Like, I just thought the irony was just hysterical in that I couldn't figure out how to use the coffee machine in the neurologist's office. So the cognitive processing was challenging, and I later came to understand how cognitive processing and memory kind of tie together. Because if your cognitive processing's delayed, that causes, like it's not going to stick into your memory. And so one doctor explained to me how, and so the other component, the cognitive processing, the memory, and then that feeling like you have ADD all of a sudden. I felt like I couldn't focus on anything. I couldn't concentrate. Someone would be talking to me and I'd be going, oh, hey, look at that shiny thing over there. And it was crazy frustrating. And it was frustrating to the person talking to me too. And I totally understood that, but I didn't know what to do, how to handle it. And so it was later explained to me, so your cognitive processing is like super slowed down. It's like, you've got your 5 speeds and you're normally running at 5 and now you're running at like 2. And so someone's talking to you in that sentence, you're still processing the first sentence that they're telling you while they're on like their 3rd or 4th sentence. So now you've just completely lost interest in the conversation because you can't keep track of it. And then that's preventing it from going into your memory as well because you're just not being able to focus on it. So cognitive processing has been a really big challenge. It's definitely gotten better for me. I'm 3.5 years out and it's definitely gotten better. But, when I'm tired, all my symptoms flare up and it definitely, the touch screen stuff will still show its ugly face to me once in a while. But I understand it now and I know better how to cope with it. So anyway, thank you all for watching and thank you all for such great feedback I have been getting on the TBI TV series. I really appreciate all your feedback and your shares, your likes, your comments. Continue sharing these videos. The more awareness we can bring, helps other survivors understand what they're going through, and we can help healthcare professionals understand what we're going through. So thanks for watching, everyone.